Hey, welcome to Real Talk, episode 18. I'm Todd. This is AJ.
Hello.
And here we are, Real Talk, our 18th episode.
That's
which is
right.
Wild, surreal. We kind of did the math here a little bit ago. So over probably 5 months, we're heading up towards doing this, if not longer.
So crazy.
I still remember the first time we did it. You could actually go back and look at our first episode 1. People should do that.
You really should, just to see the progression of everything. It's so crazy,
So it's pretty cool. What's Real Talk? Real Talk's just an opportunity. It spawned out of was birthed out of a sermon series that we did here that happens every 6 to 12 weeks, in which the congregation gets to ask questions live in the moment from their phone, which you can actually do right now. If you look at the link at the top of this video, www.theremnant.live/real-talk.
Boom.
If you hit it, it goes to a form fillable box. Fill out the box with your question. It'll go into a database completely anonymously, and you get added to the list. And
Awesome.
it also spawned kind of out of our conversations that we had privately with friends about life and God and relationships and what it is to be a believer and really follow this stuff. And we were like, man, wouldn't it be cool to invite people into this? So we sort of combined those two things. And this is what we are, and it's been really fruitful, man. And God has really, in my opinion, really blessed it. And we've gotten to know a lot of amazing people.
No kidding.
And talk about a lot of amazing things. So.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, when this whole series started, I would have had, if you would have asked me, what do you think is going to happen? I would have never thought that we'd be meeting people and people be coming here and yeah, we saw you guys on Real Talk. That is so crazy to me. And like you said, man, I feel like God's definitely been faithful to it, and He's just been, man, so faithful to us. And for me, I know I don't feel worthy that half the time, and it's so cool just to see Him move in this.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, so that's really what it's about. We're the Remnant here in Remnant Church in Columbia City, Indiana. No, we don't think we are the only Remnant church. We've said this before. Just like your local First Baptist Church doesn't believe it's the first church in America or the world. It's just a name. So we like to start by just kind of seeing how our week's been. So how's your week been, man?
It's been really good. I think I just want to mention this because this is really funny, is we actually tried to do this video once, and we could hear ourselves on the audio.
So we've
actually already asked these questions.
Just this part. We didn't.
We haven't gotten into the actual
just
questions,
the
you guys. Just the intro. So I think that's probably why it seems like it's weird, because we've already done this.
Yeah.
Man, my week's been really good. I know I've mentioned before on previous episodes about our internship program. And today we had one of our meetings, and it was really cool to be in this meeting because when everyone is in the same room and they all have the same goal in mind, which is to have people know Jesus, man, it's so surreal to be a part of, because when you're in that process, you can just see everyone's minds work and everyone's on the same page, everyone's trying to reach that same goal, and it's so inspiring, and
It's good, man.
it's so surreal to be a part of, because I know for me, I've mentioned before that I can get caught in the emotions of things, and I can go through, say, a meeting like that. I can go through meetings like that sometimes, and I can understand what we're doing, but I'm not actually present in that moment of realizing, man, look what's happening right now.
Yeah.
These people are all wanting the same thing, and that's so cool that we're willing to help each other and work together to get there. And, I think we tend to look over a lot of those kind of processes in life because we just chalk it up to, hey, that's just life. This is just life happening. But, man, what a cool thing. So, week's been really good. Very excited for the future. So.
Yeah. And, we have a board filled with, I don't know, what was there, 15, 16?
Yeah.
Kind of our overall vision for the church for the next, definitely the summer.
Yep.
But a little bit beyond that. And it's not overwhelming because it's so exciting. And that me, that stuff gets me going.
I know it does.
Dreaming and thinking. And some of the things, we'll share some of it. You guys have heard Real Talk on the Road is a real thing we're going to hopefully be doing.
Yes.
I shouldn't even say, Lord willing, this is happening.
Yeah.
We're going on the road. We've already mapped out our journey through, I don't know how many states.
5.
5 states in 1 week. We'll be making our way. Just a bunch of guys in a van. So we'll see how that goes. And we plan on going live from different locations.
It's going to be
while at the same time filming, I don't want to go too much into it, but we're filming some believers and people throughout these states with some questions to just see where they're at, to get a sampling of where people are with Jesus and what the gospel is. And
It's so good.
for a documentary that we're going to kind of let it go where it goes. And
Yes.
it's
So
exciting. And
yes.
we'll just see, man. There's a lot going on here. And, it's funny because I definitely get what you mean, like enjoy the moment and be present. And then there's these times when I'm like, man, if I stop long enough, if I take my eyes off of Jesus, really, and I start focusing on the things, it can become like, how this isn't realistic, right? But then, like, we had this talk the other day where I've just seen God do so many crazy things that, it's like, okay, Lord, like, here we go, all with the goal of reaching people and just a lot of exciting things, casting vision, getting people to see what we're doing here for the kingdom, what the remnant's place, what we think the remnant's place is in that. So yeah, it's been good. Other than that, I'm continuing, nothing really bad, man, but just really continuing I've done a lot of reflecting. We actually had a conversation last night, just reflecting on,
That was a good conversation.
in a car at night, real talk, right? Like, sounds weird,
right.
but,
Yep.
and then our other friend showed up, got dropped off, and got in the car. So instead of going upstairs, he just got in the car with us. So we had 3, it was such a weird thing, actually, when he did that, but it was really cool, because, that he joined us in that conversation. So reflecting on life, and you did too, we both just kind of talked about, like, the idea of being sentimental and missing where you came from, like things from your past, even friends and relationships. And I think where we kind of landed and is that might just be part of it, because it's not like you miss it so much that you give up what you have now to get it.
Right.
So it's this weird place of being sad for what you're no longer in.
Yep.
But knowing that you wouldn't give up where you're at because you don't want to give up the things that are happening
That's
now.
a really good way
right?
to
I mean,
put
that's
it,
kind of
yeah.
how we. So it's weird. It was a sentimental moment, a bittersweet moment, and I think both of us probably got a little emotional at different times of just what God's doing in our life and having a lot of love for the people in our lives that don't know Jesus, that we have relationships with, and like we still want to. That's part of it too, and so that was cool. I think it was good to get some of that out, because even for us, and we're pretty close, but you can get so busy doing things that you don't have a moment to let yourself go. What's going on in my own life?
You're right.
Self-reflection type stuff. So
I agree.
I enjoyed that, and the other guy that got in with us, and he added to it. It's just, we talked about having these moments where these normal moments in life. I'll share, like I said, for us, it was at our softball practice where I just,
That's right.
out of a random, I can still see it in my head, this snapshot, I looked and I'm like, these people are so different, and they're all here because they love each other and they're in family. And it was just like, this is it, man. This is worth it. If this was it, right? There's this beautiful thing of looking around and seeing all these various people that don't even get along all the time, right? They're different, but they're together because that's what church really is. Church isn't a building. It's not, it's believers together in community and worshiping, and even playing softball together in community is a form of worship, man. So I don't know, just having those moments of seeing God.
Yeah, it was a really good conversation, man. Definitely made me go like, wow. Like, I think that's something we kind of like discussed as well, which I kind of said earlier, but just I wonder how many things we overlook. We were always looking to get better, right?
Yeah.
We're always like, especially us, because us as a church, like, one of our pillars is, we want to be like, we want to have
Community.
a strong community.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe like we are doing good, but,
But we don't appreciate it.
right, because man, we push for it so hard, and like maybe like we've grown to be so used to what our community is like that maybe we don't think it's as good as
We don't
really
appreciate
is.
it.
Exactly.
That's
So
good, yeah.
it was interesting, like the smallest things, like maybe it's wild.
So yeah, that's kind of the same thing where we're at, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a wild journey. It's been a wild journey, man. As we sit in our own building, that's still surreal too. And hey, we'll see what God does, right? So yeah, we'll kind of get going. We don't have a ton of questions today,
No, we do not.
which is okay. I mean,
yeah.
we'll get in and kind of see what happens. And
Sure. Would you like me to start?
sure, man.
All right. So my question I have here is: does Christianity create a culture of oppression for women?
We've gotten similar questions to this before. So the question is, does Christianity create a culture of oppression for women? That's one of the common things that atheists who, I don't want to say this, but sometimes people that are wanting to disprove it or disprove this, Christianity will kind of hold on to. Like, look what you're saying about women. You're making women less than. And that's completely not true. First of all, we got to take Jesus' message in the context of the culture when he first said it. It was so radical. You got to remember back then, the idea of women's rights is laughable. Women had zero rights. They were not considered equal. They were property almost. And here comes this guy along who tells men, you can't just write a letter saying you're done with your wife and divorce her. You can't do that. That's not wrong. You are to love her. You are to take care of her. Jesus himself interacted with women directly one-on-one, which was unheard of. He allowed them to be part of his disciples. So what Jesus did was remind everyone that he elevated women. He created a culture of reminding people that, no, women are made in the image of God too. They are equal, not the same, but equal. And even continuing on, the call to respect or to honor your wife, to sacrifice for her. That, we take that like, of course. But back then, that would have been a radical call.
That's right.
They would have understood the concept of respecting your husband because you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to do what he said because it was this society in which men dominated women. And here Jesus said, no, you need to treat them as co-heirs with Christ, as equal to you. Not the same, equal. A lot of times what people cling to in that case is the call for wives to submit to their husbands and to respect their husbands. And what I always like to do is explain it this way. There has to be order to things. And clearly a Christian couple, for instance, that are following Jesus, both of them, the man will never be a tyrant because that isn't loving her, right? He would want to know her thoughts.
Absolutely.
However, if these are your legs and you're here, and this is your marriage too, and one leg wants to go right, there's these moments like, hey, we need to move our family here, and this one goes, no, we're going here. What ends up happening? You just do the splits, you tear your body in half, it hurts. Sometimes it's just, I like to view it as one step forward. We're going in this direction, right? And a man, if there's a tie, God's just created an order to it, in which, it's just part of the way it kind of is a picture of the church as well, the way we submit to Christ. We follow him out of respect. Submission is a voluntary act. It's an act of strength. Actually, I choose to do this, particularly in our modern society where women don't have to respect men at all or respect their husbands. One thing to be clear on, I know this is kind of a bonus answer. Women are not called. They're certainly called to respect their brothers in Christ and their spiritual leaders, etc. But a woman is not called to submit to any man beyond her husband. That doesn't mean that because you're a man you get to command.
It's good to mention that because that's definitely something that is just people don't understand that.
It's like one or the other, these extremes. So no, I don't think it creates I think it's the complete opposite. I think that the message Christ preached creates a culture that elevates women to their proper place, that they're made in the image of Christ, particularly when Jesus himself was saying it would have been completely radical.
Dude, and Jesus is so cool because, and I like how you said he's always been so countercultural, whether that was then and then even now it's still countercultural because it just flipped. It's like he set it up that no matter what it's going to be countercultural because that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look different.
Yeah, because now submitting to your husband is countercultural. That's ridiculous. What do you mean submit? Even that word submission I'm uncomfortable saying it because I've been indoctrinated instead of viewing it as like a man should sacrifice, love his wife, and his wife should respect her husband, and that sounds like so wrong. So the call still, like you said, it's still countercultural. It's just different now. It's flipped.
It's so crazy. So
it's good. Yeah, hey, this next one we got was actually from they both were, but this is a new one that says, if, forgive me, I want to make sure I want to say it exactly how they asked it so
Absolutely.
I don't disrespect the question. So we apologize in advance. Like I said, 500 some questions, right? Here we go. If someone is raped, is that person guilty of sin? So at first when I read this, and this is a big question, and first off, whoever asked this, thanks for being brave enough to ask this question. So I think the implication is a person is raped. Are they guilty of sexual immorality because they had sex outside of marriage?
No. I do not believe that. It's not like they chose to do that. It was not like a consensual thing, like they were attacked. you know, like
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
like that's just, you want me to be blunt? No, like that.
So, yeah, it's almost the reason he's saying it's almost shocking is like it's sad that someone would even think that
Exactly.
that Christianity would teach that. Of course
Right.
not. Of course not. You know that's
It goes back to, do we serve a just God?
yeah.
And we do.
God, yeah, absolutely not. No, you're not. You would not be guilty of that sin, right? I mean, so no, you would be a victim, and that. Let me tell you, that's something that would anger God. That would even happen to you. And, you know, to this. Not saying this happened to this person, but no, you can't be held responsible for something you didn't choose, right?
That's right.
As far as an action, now we all have that sinful nature outside of Jesus.
Yes.
But yeah, really, really honest and raw question.
Yeah. And
So,
yeah, that's
love it and appreciate it.
Yeah, we really do appreciate those questions, guys. Feel free, like we said, you know, we answer all of them. It doesn't matter, you know, how should I put this? Real it is. Like, that's a great question. People think about those things. They're just nervous or ashamed to talk about them or ask.
Yeah,
So, you know, those are real
yes.
questions that need to be asked so they can be answered, so people can understand. So thank you.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that. I'm trying to look and see if there's any we haven't answered that we could just do
Sure.
right now.
Just to explain this process, if it seems odd while you're watching this, while he's scrolling, the reason why it seems odd is because literally there's over 500 questions on one page that you have to scroll through.
Well, typically we have those prepared on note cards ahead of time. The only reason we didn't today is we really didn't have a lot of new questions. We
No.
answered the two, but we still wanted to do an episode because we've promised that every week.
Absolutely.
So I'm just making sure there isn't one we can talk about here.
Yeah.
And like I said, some of these I think we have talked about, but it might be good. I'm not sure if we talked about them in a live one or like one in service, so it might be good. Here's one that's kind of big, but I think it's good. With everything going on in this world, how can you put your trust in Jesus? So you, maybe, let's just say AJ.
Okay.
With everything going on in this world, how do you put your trust in Jesus?
I put despite the brokenness and all the craziness that's happening in this, I mean, we can even take today's world. This is a perfect time to talk about it. You guys have probably seen the news or at least read it on, you know, your Yahoo or whatever. Like, you've seen crazy things happening. I trust Jesus because he said this was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, like, he said that the world is going to be nuts. It's going to be, you know, it's going to go so much, like, we've fallen so far away from God that this is expected to happen. And they knew, like, he knew this was going to happen.
So good, man.
And that's why he had to die, so he could bridge that gap.
Yeah.
You know, because we've fallen so far away that we're not even, I mean, Jesus is literally the only answer to that gap. And he knew that. So,
yeah, I love that you said that, man. I think that's right on. One of the things for me, Todd, is I love this, and we've talked about it. Jesus told us this. You know, the difference between Jesus and a lot of these other religions is he doesn't sugarcoat it. He tells us there's going to be trials and tribulations.
Yep.
There's things that, I mean, he even says that the things of the war and all these things. I like that you said that the farther we've gotten away from God, we as humanity, the worse, in some ways, the worse things have gotten. Or like you always have this brokenness and this sin and this hurt and this evil and this war and this anger and disease and all these things. And I think Christianity tells us the reason for that, you know, and that I've seen him move. I've seen him change my life. And as I've seen that change in me, I know the change in you and other people have seen what the Holy Spirit does. It also is kind of the sign and hope for what he's going to do in the future. So when I get too overwhelmed, I remember that I know the end of the story. And the end of the story is God will come back and he will judge the wicked and he will save his people. And the most beautiful thing, man, I love it. You know, I've said this a million times in Revelation when he says, I will wipe away every tear because there will be no more crying or pain or death anymore, for the old things have passed away. Behold, the new have come. Like, he's going to fix this. And the only reason he hasn't, and the Bible says it's not because he's forgotten. It's not because, he can't. It's because he is patient so that everyone has a chance. Yeah, and so that, everyone that's going to come to know him will come to know him. And I like that you said that. This is what this world is, man. It's a broken place. But you still see the echoes of God's design in it and the beauty of it, right? You know, in those moments we talked about at a softball practice, I look around and say, I see God, like little glimpses of what was supposed to be. So yeah, that's how we put our faith in him, and seeing what he's done in our lives and the lives of people around us. Sometimes I cannot notice the change that's happened in me, but if I look at you, I can go, holy moly, right? Or vice versa.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that I put my trust in Jesus because he's been right every time.
That's right. Yeah.
And I believe what he told me, and I've seen it. I've seen it work. I've seen lives changed. I've seen it myself. So we cling to the promise, man.
That's right.
And faith means doing it even when it's hard, right? It means believing even when everything around you seems crazy, that he's got this. Especially when he said, hey, there's going to be many trials and tribulations, but behold, but remember, I've overcome it all, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to take you home, right? I'll bring home to you. So beautiful thing. Good question, though.
Yeah, no, it's great.
All right, I'll check one more time, and if not, we can call her. I just looking at some of these old ones, man. I really love them so much. They're good stuff.
I'm curious. What is the first question that was ever asked, or was it a test question? Was it a test?
The second question ever sent from 2016. Pretty cool. August 2016. The second thing posted was "we" with an exclamation point. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Man, that's wild that this interface has been up for that long.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Pretty cool. And that's another thing that just spawned out of, you know what'd be cool? If someone could post a question, and we had an awesome guy who kind of worked on it, Tim, right? And he made it happen. And here we are. He's like, yeah, because I knew the possibility was there. Of course, I don't know how to do it. You know, if I touch technology, it blows up. So I typically, I can't do that. So here's one. Kind of ironic. I think it's interesting. We've talked about it before, but let's talk about it again. What does the Bible say about tattoos, body piercings? What's your view on that? Maybe if you don't know what it says, what's your kind of view on? Yeah, what are your thoughts on tattoos?
That's funny.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's funny that it mentions tattoos and piercings. So actually, obviously, you guys can see I have tattoos. I actually also used to have a nose ring, so I had a piercing. I think it's interesting that people can take something like tattoos and piercings and they think it's wrong, because it says that anything you put above God is wrong, even good things.
That's good, man.
So that's something to think about. But specifically for tattoos and piercings, I think I've heard you talk about this before. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I believe tattoos are some sort of a pagan. It was like a pagan practice of some sort.
Yeah, the verse that people typically talk about is from in the Old Testament, and it was talking about markings that the pagans around them would get,
right? So
to signify even their gods or their
right. So people initially think it's wrong, but I mean, when it comes to those things, like what I'm putting on my body. If I'm putting it above God, then it's wrong.
It's from Leviticus 19:28. Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord. But it had to do with jewelry and tattoos that at the time the culture around them would wear to show their worship for pagan gods.
Yes.
It doesn't have the same meaning.
Right. So, like I have a tattoo of a wolf on my arm that has heart eyes. It doesn't mean I'm worshiping this love wolf.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That sounds so ridiculous.
Like I said, you know, and now if I was, you know, putting these tattoos and like say I was putting my time and I wasn't even thinking about God and I was just getting them and I was, you know, like I said, not even thinking about God in it. And I was putting this stuff above God or putting my piercing above God, you know, and I was using it for the wrong reasons, and yes, it would be wrong. But it's just art in my body. Yeah. And that's all I see it as. Honestly, the one that means the most is this one. I don't know if you guys can see, but that's actually Jesus. So if anything, I'd like to think that, you know, I've actually glorified him in a sense. And then everything else, you know, it's just art. So.
Yeah, I would agree as far as the verse. I think that verse is often viewed out of context, the Leviticus verse that they're referring to. I do think it had to do with, and now that could apply if people are getting tattoos that have to do with pagan things, which can happen
Sure.
sometimes, and you shouldn't do that. It doesn't matter if you're not worshiping them. If doing so would make other people think even that you
That's
are
really good.
that worshiping that or whatever. We've talked about that. You're not going to get the devil.
No.
You shouldn't, whatever.
No.
And that's not to shame one that has other things. However, some thought or shame people who did things in the past. But let's talk about a few other things to say. So I agree with you. I don't think in and of themselves they're sinful.
No.
A couple things to think of. If you are under, particularly a child or a young adult, we are to honor our father and mother. So you can't go to them and say, well, God says it's okay if your father and mother, if you're 16, 17, living at home, and they tell you not to get a tattoo. You're to honor your father and mother, right? These are just things that kind of apply to that. Because I've known people that run and get a tattoo as a teenager and their parents told them not to. That's wrong.
Yes.
Okay, that's not an issue with the tattoo. That's an issue with your heart towards honoring your father and mother. Secondly, our body is a temple. We've talked about this before. You're not going to put something on the temple that is going to bring dishonor to God in general. So, if you get a naked woman on your arm,
right?
What's the purpose in that? Does that glorify God? Does it actually make people go? You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's something I think you should be. You should always be coherent of what you're putting on your body.
Aware, absolutely.
And I will say this. I don't bring it up a lot. Like God knows the inside of us is most important. God knows the heart, right? And He looks at that. There are people that probably get a lot of tattoos to bring the focus on themselves. Mm-hmm. It's not so much what they are. They just want attention. And in those situations, you got to say, am I doing this because I have a vain focus, kind of like, or a thought on myself, or like, I don't, that's not something I would go and tell someone, hey, I think you are obsessed with yourself. That's something you got to check in your own heart. But other than that, I don't think God's like, you got a heart on your, a rose. Like, I don't think that's,
right.
In and of themselves, they're not wrong. I don't believe. And I don't think the original question was, what does the Bible say about it? Leviticus talks about it, but I think that verse is in the context of a specific situation in pagan culture, etc. So, but what I'll also say, as it says in the New Testament, is that you have to be obedient to what the Spirit's telling you. Some people will say, "No, I don't feel right doing it." Then that could be something God's wanting you to do, just like people who who maybe don't eat meat for some other reason. Don't put that on other people, but you should obey the Spirit's leading in your life.
That's really good, man, because I think that all shows that we all have different paths. We
have an overall thing we're to do.
Yeah.
But sometimes we're each, have these things that we're convicted about individually, and we need to be obedient to that.
And I think it also shows how true the body really is.
That's good. Yeah.
This is just an example. Say you have a teacher, an elementary teacher, and obviously they have, most, schools dress code for teachers would be you can't show tattoos. To me, that makes sense because you have these kids, and like you just said earlier, you don't want try to lead these kids in weird directions of whatever. So they might have a path of they're teaching these young kids, and as a Christian man or woman who's a teacher, they have a cool opportunity to do that, and that's part of their path. While someone like me, who I didn't grow up in church, but I was in, the local music scene. I was into the metal music scene and all this, I had these tattoos and everything. And for me, it's cool because now I can connect with people who usually aren't believers, and they can see these tattoos on me. And like I said, at one point I had my nose pierced. They can look at that guy and they can look at me and go, that guy looks cool.
He's like me and he loves Jesus and Jesus loves him. That's really good. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So now I had this new path that most people can't go down, because of kind of who I was.
You can reach people that other people couldn't.
Exactly.
Because you come. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's really good. So hopefully that answers your question on that.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for today, man.
Yeah.
You have any other thoughts?
Just thank you guys. Keep asking us questions. Like Todd said, we're almost just about completely caught up, so that's pretty wild.
That's
so
awesome.
Keep them coming.
Yeah.
I know one of these times we're talking about maybe doing some sort of testimonial episode where we talk about the way it's affected people. This web series, which is so cool.
Yes,
so that might be coming soon. So stay in tune for that. Stay
tuned. That's good. One of the things I would say to kind of piggyback off of that is if you have been impacted by one of our videos, what we would like to do is use the same link above.
Sure.
and type in just your story really briefly of, hey, Real Talk has impacted me in this way, and we would love to use that testimony. You can even put your name on it if you want.
That's what I was gonna mention
If you don't, that's fine too. We'll still use it.
Nope.
Just Real Talk has impacted me in this way, and we'll use that in our testimony video that's coming out here in, probably the next couple months. We'll put out.
Sure.
We want people to know that this is impacting people.
Yes.
It's certainly impacted us.
And it's so cool because you guys are part of that ministry.
Yes.
It's not just us.
No, this is our ministry.
That's right.
Yeah.
You guys
All
are
of
part
us.
of it. So,
Hey, and as usual, please like and share the video if it blesses you in any way. The way Facebook works, the more likes it gets, the more shares, the more people see it. If you haven't liked our page, would you do us a favor and join us? 2 reasons. One is join us in ministry, because the more likes we have on our page, the more people see our stuff.
That's right.
The algorithm works. Secondly, we would love to bless you with encouragement, and we send that out. And you can keep up to date on our announcements, so you can just follow the link here up above or click on the name, The Remnant Church, go to it, hit like and follow. We would love for you to join us in that way. Please comment on these videos. We'd love to know if you want to add to the discussion. We know people have done that. Like, you have thoughts on tattoos, or you have thoughts on this. Hey, let's have a talk. And we've gone back and interacted with those.
yeah, we're always open to interact.
Yeah, so we'll come back and respond to you on that video or on that question. So like, comment, share, all of those things. You can go to our website, www.theremnant.life. If you haven't checked that out, we have an updated calendar, which is pretty exciting. Got our events on there. We have some sermons, past sermons. We're getting the process now of updating those every week. You can go into Sermon Archive and see the latest sermons from the last few weeks. We just finished up a series, actually.
Yep.
Go catch up on that. It's Let's Be Better. This Thursday, we will be going live on Facebook, Real Talk. Come and join us. Hang out with us. Man, we've got some really good friends in Louisiana.
That's right,
that we've
really
met through
do.
Facebook.
It's so cool,
man. It's just a really cool thing, bringing a lot of people together, having a live discussion. Some of it's fun and silly. We had a guy eat some hot stuff last week who struggles to do that. I shot a Nerf gun at the camera. A lot of cool things. I do know that they said we have some weird stuff to taste test, blind taste test again this week.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. So we'll do that. We have a guest. We have a brand new guest, never been on before.
That's right.
This week.
It's super exciting.
So come on in and check that out. That'll be this Thursday, the 13th at 9 p.m.
Yeah, we'll go 9.
We may go back to 8:30 here soon. I know we've had some thoughts on that, but we had a really good discussion last week. Is there anything else you can think of right now?
Service.
Oh, we do have service every Sunday. We're kind of different, from 6 p.m. to 7:15, 7:30 p.m. in Columbia City, Indiana. If you don't have a church home, or you just want to come get some community love and Jesus, come hang out with us. We'd love to see you. The address can be found via the website or the Facebook page. We also, what's interesting about our Sunday services, every week between 5 and 6, so the hour immediately before, we have what we call community time, which is a free meal and a time just to sit around together, eat, laugh, have fun before we go in and worship together.
That's right.
The other big thing, which we've said and is coming, we are going to be doing a morning service, 11 a.m. within this summer, and we'll keep, stay tuned, because it's going to be a big announcement. But we'll be doing 11 a.m. service. It's going to coincide with our grand opening. We've been around a while, but we're going to have to do a grand opening in the new building.
It's going to be so cool.
Come check that out. We love it, and thank you guys so much. It really encourages us when you comment, share, like. It helps us to know to keep going. I think that's about it, man. You got anything else?
No, just thank you guys so much, and I love you.
Hey, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. We hope you have a great week. Great week. Do us one more thing. This came to mind. Would you guys pray for us? Pray for our church. Pray for us. We certainly will keep praying for all of you. We love you so much. We love you. Appreciate you. Hope you have a great week, and God bless.
Nice. And then I guess we just kind of do this thing, and
so it is what it is, man.
And then we'll do pretend to drink because I'm out of water, and bumper music.